Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kwadash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Lord willing, is edifying to the elect. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, the leaders of all Israelites in these end times, showing us the correct way to salvation. Shalom to you, Akwaf, meaning you Israelite sisters that are in order. Shalom. Shalom to you brothers out there teaching, and shalom to you Israelites that look like these other races. But your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making you a Hebrew Israelite regardless of your appearance, because it ain't about color. It is about the chosen seed line. Shalom. And shalom means peace be unto you. So this lesson is called This Ministry Has an Expiry Date. And it does. This ministry is not going to be here forever. So it's very important to understand the value of this ministry, of this gospel, should I say, and get it while you can, because I got a few clips to show you here, showing you how they're homing in on, on the prophets, man, on this gospel, because it's touching a nerve. So Edom is, he's being consumed by this word, man. And, there's all kind of ways that this famine of the word could come about, but it is biblical prophecy. The Lord said in the book of Amos, let's go to it. We'll make that our first precept, Amos 8 and 11, right? The Lord says it right here. And this is speaking about the end times. This is speaking about the times that we're living in now. Okay, it says, behold, Amos 8 and 11, behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. Although there will be a famine of bread and water, but this specific precept is focusing on a specific type of famine, which is the famine of hearing the words of the Lord, meaning the famine of the gospel. Eventually, this gospel is going to be taken away from you, and you're not going to be able to have access to it. And that's when you should panic, because this gospel that we're teaching is your lifeline. It is the way to salvation. And without it, there is no hope. So verse 12, it says, and they shall wander, meaning after the famine of the word, when people realize that there's no chance of finding the way to salvation anymore, when they realize that we had the truth, when they realize that a prophet had been among them. Verse 12, it says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, from the north even to the east, meaning they're going to run everywhere to and fro. It says they shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh and shall not find it. Okay, now whether or not you're going to be able to find other philosophies and religions and religious texts and stuff like that, who knows? But all we know is that the word specifically says, the prophecy specifically says, that there is going to be a famine of hearing the words of Yahweh, meaning the true gospel, this new song that we're singing in these end times. It says, and they shall not find it, right? Verse 13, it says, in that day shall the fair virgins and the young men faint for thirst, meaning thirst for this living water, this gospel, the truth, okay? Because they're going to understand at that time the value of it. Because right now they scoff at all the things that we say that are coming upon, Babylon the Great, aka America, as well as the rest of the world. The judgments that the Lord is about to pour out. People scoff. They don't think it's going to happen in their time. But when it actually happens, they're going to come looking for us. But during this time of chaos, you really think the prophets are going to be out on the streets teaching? I don't think so. So what I want to do is I want to show you a quick clip. We'll Well, actually, the first one is not going to be very quick. This is one that's about 8 minutes long. But I'm not going to play the whole thing, right? Because it's not relevant. I just want to play it and talk on a few points that he makes. But what this is going into, this first clip I'm about to show you is recently, I believe as of March of this year, 2026, Canada has been pushing the idea, or is passed, I'm not sure, I have to look deeper into it, but there's a bill called Bill C9 that they're looking to pass, or that they have passed. And what this is going to do is make it punishable to speak on certain biblical talking points, such as, homosexuality, anything that people can deem offensive. So by us speaking about Esau going into slavery and being judged by the Lord, and the Lord, salvation only being for a specific group of people, this can be offensive to people and wind you to be punished according to the law. So let me go ahead and play this clip for you, right? And then I'll speak on it as we go along. But this is what's currently being passed. Check this out.
Justice team in a 35-minute meeting. The Liberal members of the Justice Committee, with the backing of the Liberal government and bloc, have just forced through the divisive and toxic Bill C9, which takes squarely aim at religious freedom and freedom of expression. The reason the meeting was so efficient was because debate was banned. The Liberals censored debate on their censorship bill.
MP Miller stated that some biblical passages are, in his words, clearly hateful, and suggested that prosecutors should be able to press charges against Christians for quoting scripture.
I am also alarmed by the audacity of Liberal Minister of Culture Mark Miller, who stated that certain Bible passages, quote, are clearly hateful, and, quote, there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. There are clearly passages in religious texts that are clearly hateful, unquote.
So it's only hateful to those that love truth. That hate truth, right? Because for the Bible to say that, there's certain punishments for, a homo, let's just say, right? Us men of the Lord that have a righteous spirit within us, that are truly the children of the Lord, it's going to vex our spirit. For people to run around committing such abominations, and we're gonna delight in the laws that speak on the punishments that come to such people that live abominable lifestyles. We are all for that, because our spirit is in tune with the Spirit of the Lord. Okay, we have the Spirit of the Lord in us, but it's offensive to, put someone to death for certain abominable acts. It's offensive to certain people to hear that, because their spirit is not in tune with the Heavenly Father. These are the very people that have made their bed, and they're going to have to lay down in it, meaning that when this world is destroyed, they're going to be destroyed with it, because they've chose the side they want to live. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me go ahead and continue.
It looks like Mark Carney and his liberal minions just tried to criminalize the Bible here in Canada, making it a punishable offense for Christians and people in general to quote or invoke the Holy Scriptures. They're using the pretext that apparently some parts of the Bible are to be considered hate speech. This is yet another example and the latest attempt by the woke left to go after Christians, this time targeting the most important book in Christianity and Judaism, and attacking a religious symbol considered sacred by around 20 million Canadians.
The Bible is not hate speech. Biblical teaching must never be criminalized. Even apart from the issue of outlawing religious speech that liberals find offensive, I oppose...
And the fact that they're criminalizing the Bible and deeming it hate speech shows you that we're at the end, man. And it shows you that, you know, the rulers of this world permit nothing but wickedness to thrive while righteousness is suppressed and hidden. Okay. And it's going to be the opposite when the rightful rulers are in authority. You know, there should be a clear sign that these people in the Holy Land right now are not the real Jews, man. Okay.
Bill C-9 for its unconstitutional and unjustified attempt at censorship. While I may disagree with people who express words and ideas that are hateful or derisive, I do not think they should be imprisoned.
Yeah, Esau going into slavery, man. So, you know, I ain't gonna play no more. You know, 2 minutes is good enough. You know, might be a little bit more meat on there, but you know, basically, I got a few more clips to play and a few precepts, and you know, you get the point on this topic. You know, Canada. This is happening in Canada, right? But don't think it's going to stop at Canada. This is a worldwide agenda, okay? Because they want everybody, they want information controlled and censored, you know, at an incredible level, man. Because, you know, this is why they're pushing for data centers and to get everyone chipped up so they can control internet activity. They can control every aspect, you know, of society, okay? But this is what's coming, you know, the famine of the word is coming, okay? And, you know, this is just one out of many examples I've got showing you that this prophecy is, you know, inching closer and closer, man. So I want to turn to the book of Ezekiel really quickly. We're going to go to chapter 3 and verse 26. It says, and I'm just going to get to the point, Ezekiel 3 and 26, it says, and I will make thy tongue cleave to the roof of thy mouth, that thou shalt be dumb, and thou shalt not be a reprover, for they are a rebellious house. So, you know, the Lord is saying to Ezekiel, you know, that he's going to make him dumb, meaning not literal, but, you know, meaning that he's gonna not permit him to speak or reprove, which is what we, you know, the men of the Lord in these end times do. Okay, we reprove. Okay, that's our job, is to reprove the rebellious house, meaning the house of Israel. And you know, the time is coming where the Lord is going to do like he did to Ezekiel and make our tongue cleave to the roof of our mouth, meaning that he's going to shut us up. Something going to happen. He's going to take us off the internet, okay? And we're not going to be a reprover anymore because, you know, the ones that are outside the ark in that day, they're sealed for destruction, man. They're not of the elect because they're a rebellious house. They're rebellious people. There's no new thing under the sun. The same thing that happened back then in the time of Ezekiel is happening today, man. Okay, it always has happened, you know, with our nation. So the Lord about to, you know, pull the plug on this thing, man, and wipe these little gremlins off the earth for good, you know, until they be reborn in the kingdom of heaven in their right mind, okay, and in their new bodies where they don't go off. Okay, but all the unrighteous are gonna be cut off on this side. And, you know, we're coming up to that prophecy. But first, before that happens, the famine of the word has to take place. This is one of the last few prophecies that need to take place before the coming of the Lord Yahushua. Okay, another one being the mark of the beast. Now, I want to turn to the book of 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, or concerning tokens, right, meaning the prophecies, it says, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number. So there's coming a time of judgment in the very near future. Okay, we're talking about, you know, during the time where they're pushing the mark, during the time where they're drafting people, during the time of the famine of the word, during the time of, you know, escalation in this war in the Middle East, so-called Middle East, You know, all these things, all these prophecies, all these tokens are coming together at the same time. Okay. And one of the tokens or the prophecies is that, you know, they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, it says, meaning that there's going to be mass judgment. There's going to be a lot of dead bodies out here, man. Okay, a lot of people are going to be taken off this earth, meaning judged in a great number. And during this time, this is the point right here, the last bit, it says, and the way of truth shall be hidden. Meaning the Lord is going to make us dumb. The Lord is going to hide us. The Lord is going to take us off the streets and the internet. This is the way of truth, the way of life, the way of salvation. And it's going to be hidden from you. Meaning the door of the ark is spiritual this time. It's not a physical ark as it was in the times of Noah. It says, and the land shall be barren of faith, because all these Christians that are left outside the ark that didn't want to repent called us hate preachers, right? And racists. Said we were teaching lies, called us false prophets, and all types of wicked words they called us, right? But these Christians are going to lack faith when their sweet white Jesus don't come to their rescue when all this chaos is taking place, because all these people they grew up and went to church with every Sunday, they're going to be dropping like flies around them, and they're going to wonder where Jesus is at. So the land is going to be barren of faith, meaning desolate of faith during this time. Okay. It says in verse 2, it says, but iniquity, which is sin, shall be increased above that which thou now seest. Okay, so what you see in the world now, all the wickedness with the child grooming gangs and the pedophilia and the, you know, the child trafficking and the earthquakes and the killing and the robbing and the cheating, you know, the adultery and the list goes on, man. But the iniquity that we're seeing today, right, is going to be increased about, it says above, Salakia, what we now seest. Okay, so iniquity is going to be increased above what we see now. Okay, because it's going to be an evil time, a time of chaos. It says, or that thou hast heard long ago, meaning this is going to be, and this lines up with, basically it lines up with Jeremiah 30:7, where it speaks about, you know, the time of Jacob's trouble, meaning a time that there's never been on earth before. Okay, this lines up perfectly with it. It says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which thou now seest, or that thou hast heard long ago, meaning this is going to be a time above all times, an evil time. It says, and the land that thou seest now to have root shalt thou see wasted suddenly. So America's going to be destroyed suddenly with ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles, at the peak of World War III, which is now brewing up to fulfill this prophecy. Okay, it's all leading up to that ultimate day, which is the day of the Lord. Okay, so let's go back to these clips and let me just quickly decide what I want to play next. So we played the C19 thing. Let's show you what's going on here in the UK, and this is kind of old news now. This is before Keir Starmer stepped down, and he's talking about banning social media for underage 16s, which goes into the famine of the word. Okay, they're trying to, and I'll speak on it after I play this clip. Actually, let me play it.
Today is a big moment for our country. This is a big step, real change for our children and our future. Because today I can announce that the government will ban access to social media for all children under the age of 16.
So they're looking to ban social media for all children under the age of 16. And why? You know, I have my theories, and I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong. Okay? Because they're losing the information war, and children up to a certain age, they soak up what they see as reality. Okay? And Esau's not in a good light right now, okay? With all the things coming out about how these people are the most hateful people in the world, the most murderous, genocidal, terroristic pedophiles in the earth, okay? It's all coming out. All over social media, everyone's talking about them and turning on them, just like the prophecy said would happen. So Esau wants to hide all of this because it doesn't benefit his, so-called white supremacy. It doesn't help him. It doesn't, paint him in a good light. Okay. Esau's trying to fight against prophecy, but the prophecy said that this would happen, that he would be exposed and that shameful spewing would be on his glory. We brought out these precepts before. Anyway, let me go ahead and play this second little clip and I'll speak a bit more on it. It's the same thing, but I just want to play this for a certain reason.
Government has decided to ban social media access for children under 16. It's a big step for our country. Now, it's not an easy thing to do. I'll be honest about that. We haven't rushed into it. We've looked carefully at the evidence. And we'll have to adapt our approach as technology changes. Social media is making our children unhappy and unsafe. And as a parent, as much as a Prime Minister, I just can't let that go on anymore.
Now, what you're seeing here is a typical case of the devil, Esau, Edom, coming like he's an angel of light. The scriptures say, Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Hey, that's these devils, man, always trying to paint out like they're coming with the solution when they're the ones that create the problem. So that since when have they cared about children's well-being and their happiness? Children are depressed and offing themselves at an alarming rate, man. No one's happy under Esau's rule. Why all of a sudden now he acts like he cares about the children? It's all a front, man. It's all to save face and make them look like their intentions are good. Okay? They're always going to make out like they're the good guy. But they're not. Okay? It's all deception. Every move they make is
the government has decided.
Every move they make is based on deception, man. Okay? So, that's the reason I wanted to play that particular clip, and he was saying how it's not going to be easy. So why go through all this trouble? It's because it's just like during COVID, there was this major disease floating around that everybody had to hide from, but the children had to still be in public education. We are not shutting down the schools for nothing. They've made it to where kids, had to learn from home, but the indoctrination had to commence. It had to continue at all costs. It don't matter about some deadly disease. Children have to learn because we care about the kids. It was never about the kids. It was about indoctrination. This is very important to Esau, Edom. Information and propaganda and history, his story, is very important. They have to get these children at a young age and shape their fragile minds, man. Okay? Because they understand the importance of that. The future generations, the children are the future, man. So they want to shape the minds of these obedient future slaves. That's all it's about, man. Don't let the devil fool you. Okay? So that's that. I wanted to touch on that. And, what makes it even worse, right, is that they're doing this, in the guise that they're helping children. And children are finding loopholes. They'll get a VPN so that, it makes it seem as if they're living in another country, so that they can find a way around, these bans. Well, Esau, is so serious about his indoctrination campaign that he's already thought about that loophole, okay? And he's already come up with a way to combat that problem. Because you can't have children finding little sneaky ways to get online, okay? Because they might find out, they might see a bit too much wickedness coming from the so-called white man, you know, that doesn't go well for their so-called white supremacy, because they're not looking good right now. Anyway, let me go ahead and play this clip. This is what's happening right here.
The UK is preparing to ban VPNs so that people can't get around the new social media ban. And if this law is passed as well, it could affect millions of you guys. Well, this week, obviously, the UK banned social media for anyone under the age of 16. But as we totally expected, millions of children have bought VPNs so that they can pretend to be in a different country. This means they can get around the social media ban and still use social media without much hassle. However, rather than realizing that children are always going to just try and find ways to get around the laws, and instead you should go after the companies that are being bad, the UK has decided to crack down on the children even more. New legislation is expected to be voted on soon that will, quote, prohibit the provision of VPN services to children in the United Kingdom. This would not make VPNs themselves illegal in the UK. However, you would have to verify your ID and then a photo of yourself, etc., to prove that you're not under 16 to use a VPN. And so not only will you now have to prove your age, verify your ID, upload photos of yourself to use social media, but you'll also have to start doing it to use a VPN. I mean, how long will it be now until you've got to start doing that to go out and buy dinner? The UK seems to be really heading towards the Matrix movie, and worse. But there is something I haven't told you yet. First, I'm the only...
Yeah, so it's about digital control, man. They want you all on this system, on this grid, okay? And this in this beast system, they want you, you know, fully immersed in it. You know, they want all your data so that there's no escape, you know? And they want to control everybody's internet activity, man. So, you know, that just shows you how far Esau and how serious Esau is about controlling the narrative, man. Okay. Now, when he said that you would need ID to get back online or something like that, that goes into this beast system, man. Okay, because it all links up with digital ID. All right, so check this clip out right here, man.
Beautiful people, I knew that this social media ban wasn't just about the children. Have you seen what they're saying now? Like, basically, when they bring in the social media ban for the under 16s, for them to prove if they're under 16 or not, you're going to have to log on your social media with digital ID. And if you refuse the digital ID, you will not be on social media. Like, think about it. If we've got to verify our identity to access social media now, how far away are we from a world where anonymity, like, is basically gone? We will always have to show who we are to be online. Now, you know, they tell us that it's about safety. They tell us it's about protecting the children. And of course, like, you know, we do want to protect the children, and that's why they're emotionally going to get us so connected that we will bypass the fact that it's all about getting us involved with the digital ID infrastructure. I'm telling you now, once they bring this in, this digital ID and the social media regulations, it is never going to go back. It will only get bigger, right? I'm just telling you now, social media.
They say you give the devil an inch, he'll take a mile. And that's Esau Edom. That's his characteristics, man. Okay, once you agree to authoritarianism or socialism, once you give up your freedom for safety, you know, he's got you. And he ain't never letting go, okay? You saw what happened during 9/11. You know, oh, we're going to tighten up security in the airports. Did they ever loosen up security once they, you know, did what they had to do to fight terrorism in Afghanistan and all that? Bull crap. No, man. The airports are still a damn nightmare. Ever since then, okay? So once they get their foot in the door, you know, like the ICE agents on the streets of America right now, you know? You think they're going to just say, okay, job done, we're going to pull all the ICE off the streets now? No, they're not going to, because now they have a new police branch of the police force, man. Turning America into the police state that they want, because it's all about power and control to these people, man, and greed. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue this.
Is eventually going to become the way that they force us to get the digital ID.
Yeah, you're basically being backed into a corner, man. And this is what people need to prepare themselves for. That's why we do these lessons, to highlight the severity of it and how close we are and how fast they're moving, you know, and what you got to do to, you know, be protected in these times. Okay, you need to believe in the Lord, man. You need to believe in what's happening. This is real. This is really happening, man. You're not dreaming.
I can just see it coming right now. Share this out, beautiful people.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, man, you know, and that goes into the fact that these people are just writing unrighteous decrees. Okay, let's go ahead and get that precept in the book of Isaiah chapter 10. And we're going to start at verse 1 and read through 3. It says, woe unto them. Woe means death and destruction. So death and destruction unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, you know, that pass unrighteous laws, man. You know, stripping a person's access to the internet because you want to control the narrative, going that far, that's an unrighteous decree, man. That's going to have a mad effect on these teenagers, man. You know how much they love their social media. Okay, a lot of people make money on social media. They're not going to take this happily, man. They're not going to, you know, they're not just going to accept this peacefully. Okay, so it's going to kick off, man. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write, meaning prescribe, grievousness, which they have prescribed. That's it. Prescribe means right. All right. So this is what they've done. They've passed laws that are grievous. You know, it says to turn aside the needy from judgment. Okay, the needy are them that are needing this living water, man, that needs salvation, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, and they do this, you know, to make it harder for you to receive salvation, you know, by banning the Bible, you know, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. Okay, so, you know, it's a right for us to have access to the Holy Scriptures, man, to be able to serve our God in peace, our power in peace, you know, but he takes away that right from the poor, which is us, the Israelites. It says that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless, you know, we're the prey and they rob us, the fatherless, man. Okay, and ultimately Esau wants to steal your salvation, you know, and he wants to steal your faith. It says in verse 3, and what will ye do, Esau, Edom, in the day of visitation? Because that day is coming. It's very close. Okay, that's why they're making these moves, you know, and we'll get into that in just a moment. It says, and what will you do in the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far? Okay, because those nukes are going to fly across the earth to hit America, the target. It says, to whom will ye flee for help? No one, because these people don't have a God. Okay, it says, and where will ye leave your glory? In the dust. Okay, that's going down to the grave with you, man. Okay. So, you know, this is what's going on, man. These people are writing unrighteous decrees and the Lord gonna punish them for that. Because it's unrighteous for you to block our man from receiving the truth, the gospel. You know? But he's doing that, you know, because, you know, this gospel's grievous unto him, man. You know? We'll get into that in just a moment too. But first, I want to turn to the book of 2nd Ezra. We're going to go to chapter 9. And let's just start at verse 7. It says, Second Ezra 9 and 7, and every one that shall be saved, right? Because you're not saved yet. The ones that are going to be saved, it says, and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Okay, so faith and works, you know, is what's going to help you get through this, man. Okay, you got to have faith, and you got to show your faith by your works. Okay, and this is how we're going to be delivered. You know, this gives us a very good chance of being delivered. Okay, it says, shall be preserved from the said perils, meaning the judgments that are written. Okay, we will be preserved from that if we do what's required of the Lord. This is the way out. This is the way of escape. It says, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning, meaning the elect have always been predestinated. And this is the point right here. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways. So when this all kicks off and this system collapses, because it will collapse, they're going to collapse the old system and bring in the new, the beast system, right? It says, it said, then shall they be in pitiful case. You're going to be effed up out here, man. You know, when it collapses, it says, then shall be the pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, right? See, the prophets have been here telling you the right way, but you wanted to cleave to Christianity or whatever bugged out philosophy you had going on in your bugged out brain, man. Okay? You've abused the ways of the Lord. It says, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. You know, because you had your warning, man. Verse 10, it says, for such as in the life have received benefits and have not known me. And this is the main point right here in verse 11. It says, and they that have loathed my law, you know, they hate the law of the Lord. It says, while they had yet liberty. That's the point right there. While you had the liberty. So, you know, you hate this gospel, this new song that we're singing while you have the liberty, man. You've loathed the law of the Lord while you had liberty, because your liberty is getting ready to be stripped from you. The liberty to receive this truth. It says, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, keyword was open unto them, because you're not always going to be able to repent. Okay. It says, when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same must know after death by pain. So the same is going to have to know it by a painful death, which is the lake of fire. Okay. So all those that didn't listen and, you know, abused this gospel while they had the liberty, while they had the chance to receive it, and they didn't, and they refused it, really, it's a form of you saying you hate the Lord, because you either love him or hate him. There's no gray areas with the Lord, man. He says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Let's go ahead and play another clip. They're trying to control the narrative so much that even if you insult the small hats, right, it can wind you up in jail, man. Okay? They're really cracking down on what they deem as hate speech, okay? Even if it's a joke, as I'm about to show you. Check this out, man.
Netanyahu, if you can hear this, my bitch ex-wife is close to developing a nuclear weapon. Benjamin Netanyahu, do what must be done. Please.
That Netanyahu joke, you can literally now be arrested for making it. And no, I am not joking. Check this out.
A 23-year-old FIU student charged with a felony over messages she wrote in a school group chat. Gabriela Saldana facing a judge Thursday morning. According to her arrest report, this went down in a WhatsApp group chat of about 215 students, where students were discussing an event that was to take place Friday at the Ocean Bank Convocation Center on campus to make their capstone presentations. 7 News obtaining some bits of that chat. It seemed the student wanted the event rescheduled and wrote, quote, Netanyahu, if you can hear me, drop some bonbons for us capstone students in Ocean Bank Convention Center. Other students wrote they didn't take that text lightly. She later in the chat wrote, quote, "I wrote a dumb joke that should not have been made."
I can understand your position, Miss Corey, and you're saying this is a joke, but to an objective person, it's not a joke, and there would be enough for probable cause.
This is America now. Gang.
I guarantee that judge is a small hat. I've seen her many times, before in different certain cases, popular cases, that have come across her desk. But, I believe she just looks like a small hat. I could be wrong. She just got that appearance, man. And the fact that she came down so strong on this girl over a damn joke, that should have been a slap on the wrist. If that. That's crazy, man.
Bangers and pedos are roaming free, but you make one crass remark, one joke about Israel and Netanyahu, straight to jail.
And we going hard all the time in this gospel about them, man, them small hats, okay? So they're itching to get us, the prophets, man, But he made a good point, all this pedos and, all this craziness going on in the world, but they get a slap on the wrist. But this girl here making a little BB Benjamin not a Jew joke, and she gets years in prison. That's crazy, man. There's no right justice, no judgment in this world, just pure wickedness, man. But this is because Esau's desperate, man. Let's go to it, right? Because in the book of Revelations chapter 12 and 12, we bring this out a lot. But this is why all this is happening. It says in Revelations 12:12, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." Okay, us of the hopeful elect. Because we know that the kingdom of heaven is, closer than we believed, nearer than we believed, man. We came into this truth, found out a whole lot of stuff. Our knowledge has increased crazily since we came into this knowledge. And it's exciting, okay, because we're about to see some real change. We're about to see a real revolution in this earth, man, okay? So it's a time for us to rejoice. So it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea." And I already explained that woe means death and destruction. So that's what's coming to the masses, okay? The inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. It says, "For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath," anger, right? "Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." So the Edomites, that's the devil that the Bible's speaking of, they don't have long left to rule. Their rulership is coming to an end. That's why all this chaos is happening back to back in the world, man. It's all leading up to his downfall. Okay, Satan is being cast out of heaven like lightning. Heaven meaning his rulership. Okay, this is what it's all going into. It's just dark sayings and parabolic language, man. Speaking about the same people. It's all about rulership. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. So they know that their rulership is almost over. They know that we're ruling next. So they don't care how many people they got to take down with them. But they're coming down having great wrath, meaning they're going to pass unrighteous decrees. As we read earlier, they're going to pass, draconian laws. Okay, they're gonna really put the hammer down. And that's what you're seeing. Throwing this woman in jail, in prison for years over, a BB Benjamin not a Jew joke, man. That just shows you this man is reaching. He's desperate, okay? But ultimately they want the prophets, because we go hard on these devils, man. We tell them they're going into captivity, they're a low IQ, they're inferior, they're going into slavery, they're going into, they're going to get judged, they're coming out of power. We're going to kick their ass in the kingdom. We're going to take their women. We say a lot of things that piss this man off. Because they do listen to our lessons. They do tune into our lessons at times, man. Let's quickly bring that out, because that's in the book of Job, chapter 15 and 21. And it says, "A dreadful sound is in his ears." And that's this gospel, this new song. It says in prosperity, right, in the peak of his kingdom, which he's at now, the Lord said, they shall build, but I will throw down. In prosperity, it says the destroyer shall come upon him. And the destroyer is ultimately Yahushai, but he's coming to destroy their kingdom, and he's going to do it by means of the chariots, which the world calls UFOs, and the ICBM intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. The nukes. Okay, so that's the destroyer that's going to come upon him. But first, this gospel has to be preached, okay, which is that dreadful sound in his ears. So, you know, there's a precept to this, just to kind of drive it home a bit further. So if we go to the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8, right, it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed. Okay, so this is why he's trying to control the internet like he is, because he's being revealed. He's trying to stop this prophecy from happening, man. But it ain't going to happen, because prophecy is going to happen. So it says, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, which is Esau Edom, the rulers of this world. You know, we didn't know back in the day that they were the Edomite. We saw them as our fellow human being. That's just a white man, we said, right? Now we know they're red. They're not white. Now we know that they're the wicked. We know that they are the Edomite. Their race isn't called Caucasians. It's called the Edomites, according to the Holy Bible. Okay, and they're being revealed now. It says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which is the prophets. That's that dreadful sound in his ear, as we read in Job 15 and 21. The dreadful sound in his ear. So the Lord is consuming him with the spirit of his mouth. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Okay, so at the end of Job 15 and 21, it says, in prosperity the destroyer shall come upon him. So you know this is a precept, and through the precepts we get understanding, right? It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's the destroyer. See? See how it links up? Okay, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, right? For you to ban the Holy Bible because it's offensive, that's doing the working of Satan, man. With all power, right? Who's the one stealing power in this world? And signs, false miracles, and lying wonders, right? False miracles, man. Okay, with his Neuralink, his little poxy little Neuralink. The hell out of here, man. It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, that's talking about 2/3. Okay, because Esau can't be saved. Okay, he wasn't created to be saved. He was created to be the damn devil. You can't save the devil. Okay, and you people need to stop loving and trying to protect the damn devil, because you don't recognize him as the devil. That's the problem, man. But he is the devil, and he's going down. Okay. So let's see what else we got here, man. Okay, this is all a part of his exposing here. Okay, this is partly why they want to control the narrative, because they ain't looking good, man, with the Epstein crap coming out. He's so scrambling and he's desperate and he's through. Check this out, man.
Bombshell Epstein news. Judge Emmett Sullivan has ordered that Donald Trump's FBI transcripts and the documents that allege that Donald Trump was raping a 13-year-old child be released by July 2nd. And if they don't release, this judge, highly respected judge, is demanding a reason as to why. They have put Donald Trump into a fucking corner with the Epstein files. The only thing Donald Trump is going to do from now on is bomb the fuck out of Iran, because that's the only way that he can protect himself from being found out as a pedophile. And one of our best judges in the United States has just declared that. So watch what happens. He's going to go on a fucking tirade. He's going to bomb the shit out of Iran, and he's going to act like this never happened. He's going to blow it off, just like he did the first time the Epstein files had to be released. They just didn't do it. Arrest this fucking pedophile. He is going to blow the entire world up unless he is held accountable. And the clock is fucking ticking on that.
The clock is ticking, you're right, but prophecy will stand. Bombs will fly, okay? So he's right on that. Donald Trump is the guy to get the job done, okay? Our old Donny boy, he's doing a good job at getting prophecy popping, man, okay? So that we can rule, okay? Because he's ultimately going to destroy you, his own people. He's going to destroy you with him, man. They're going to destroy their own people. They don't give a damn about you. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? Roughly paraphrasing, man. But, this is all a form of him coming down, having great wrath, as we read in Revelations 12 and 12, okay? Because they're backed in the corner with that Epstein Files madness, man, okay? So by July 2nd, which is tomorrow, well, I think it's past midnight now, so yeah, actually today, as I'm doing this lesson. So we'll see what happens, man. Maybe there's a major distraction that's going to take place. Who knows? But this man is desperate, okay? And he's at the end of his rope. Let me see what else I got, okay? Let's play this one here, because this is another reason why the prophets could be taken offline, man, okay? Check this out.
Couldn't get worse. Iran just threatened to cut the cables that just so happen to carry 95% of the world's fucking internet. I'll give you a quick rundown. Under the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, hundreds of fiber optic cables on the ocean floor carry more than 95% of all global internet traffic. This means your emails, video calls, and cloud services to financial transactions and streaming are dependent on these cables. Cables connect the major data centers built in the Gulf by companies including Amazon, Microsoft, and Google to billions of users worldwide. These cables are relatively easy to damage, whether by naval mines, anchors, or direct military action. According to Capacity Global, at least only 17 submarine cables run through the Red Sea alone. Like it says, the Strait of Hormuz is equally vital. Key cable systems including AAE-1, Falcon, Gulf Bridge International Cable System, and Tata TGN Gulf all pass through the region according to telegeography. I'm sure everybody's aware of who our surprising ally has become, and as you can read, India, among other countries, has particular reason to pay attention. The cable runs through landing stations in Oman, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Pakistan, India, and Saudi Arabia. India is also one of the largest consumers of internet traffic, with significant data flows connecting Indian users to servers in West Asia, Europe, and beyond. How ironic that this nation that our leaders clearly underestimated from the very beginning has all of a sudden gained so much control.
Yeah, man, Esau's not in control like he would like to be anymore, man, okay? Now, he's gone through a lot of effort to try and keep his dominance over the world, and he's losing that. Why? It's because he's coming out of power, man. The Lord is slowly chipping away at his kingdom, taking this man out of rulership, man. But, these internet cables run through the Straits of Hormuz and in that region, in the ocean, and, they're threatening, Iran is threatening to cut them things, man. Them things there. Because, if that happens, if this war escalates to that level, man, hey, this alone could bring about the famine of the word. So there's all types of things, you got the threat of cyber attacks and all sorts of things happening. They're talking about weather events, talking about, solar flares that could cause, EMP type effects. And yeah, you also got EMP, the talk of EMP weapons being used in this war, which will shut down all the internet and all electronics, man. So there's many ways that this could come about, but ultimately we know it is. And how it's going to happen exactly, it don't go into the details, but the famine of the word is coming, man. So this is why I'm pushing this lesson and letting you gotta treat this truth as a treasure and get it while you can, man, because the day is coming where you're not going to be able to get it anymore. So it's very important you get this gospel while you can, man, because there's not much time left. Esau is getting ready to wage war on us. Let's close it out with that precept, right? Because this is also part of how this famine is going to come about, okay? Because they're going to come in on the prophets. Okay, so we're gonna, and this is Revelation 12 and 17. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman. Okay, the dragon is Esau Edom. The woman is the nation of Israel, because the Bible says, I have likened the daughter of Zion, which is the Israelites, to a comely and delicate woman. Okay, so when it says the dragon was wroth with the woman, it means that Esau Edom is pissed off with the prophets. Okay, with the Israelites. Okay, that's why it's called the time of Jacob's trouble. This time we're coming into during the system collapse. There's going to be civil war, race war. There's going to be a lot of judgment. You know, Jake is going to catch a lot of judgment, man, during this time. Okay, so the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Now, a woman doesn't have seed, proving that this isn't talking about a literal woman. It's symbolically talking about the nation of Israel. It's a dark saying. Okay, a parabolic language. It says, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which is the elect, because the elect is a remnant, which keep the commandments of the Most High. Further proving this is talking about the elect. Okay, and not you Christians, because you don't keep the commandments. You say the law is done away with. And have the testimony of Yahushai. Okay, and the testimony of Yahushai is a spirit of prophecy. Because when you go to the book of Revelations, is it 19? No. Yeah, 19 and 10. Revelations 19 and 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. This is John the Revelator falling to the angel's feet to worship the angel. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. So the angel said, don't worship me. It says, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. So this is who the dragon is being wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of the seed, those that have the testimony, right? Which is the elect. And what is the testimony? It's going to explain it right here. It says, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. And that's the spirit that the remnant of her seed, or the elect, is coming in, man. Okay. Where was I at? 12 and 17, weren't it? So right here where it says in Revelations 12 and 17, and the dragon, Esau Edom, was wroth with the woman, pissed off with the elect, or the Israelites, and went to make war with the remnant of a seed, meaning the elect, which keep the commandments of the Most High, because this is ultimately who he's trying to come after. But you don't want, at the moment, as it stands now, the Lord is holding him back, because Esau Edom, in his mind, he's trying to play it strategically. He don't want to bring too much attention to us, because he knows that that's not going to work in his favor. A lot of people, you know, you could do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. So if he comes out trying to demonize us, it's ultimately going to end up turning a lot of people to the truth, because, you know, people that have the spirit of the Lord are naturally going to see it for what it is, this truth, this gospel. They're going to understand it and they're going to cleave to it. It's going to do what it was meant to do. All people have to do is hear it. The right people. Okay. So it says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which is the elect of Israel, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony, which is the spirit of prophecy of Yahushai. Okay, and that's the spirit we come in, man, the spirit of prophecy. Hence the reason why I'm doing this lesson, you know, and we do lessons like these, showing you what's coming. Okay, and we say before what's coming in the future to prepare those that are wise enough to receive it. Okay, so Lord willing, you've been edified by this lesson. The famine of the word is coming, so get this truth while you can. I'm going to close it out by giving all honor, praise, and glory to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. All right, Shalom.